before we start the car, it's an Aston Martin V8 Vantage from 1978. Hand-built car at Newport Pagnell. They don't build them by hand anymore. And this one was a rather unique car because it was the Aston Martin Demonstrator car. The car then was used by Aston Martin at various publicity events, particularly hill sprints. And this car won the hill sprint at Goodwood in 1979, driven by a racing driver called David Ellis. So we'll take the car out and we'll get it started up and look around and then go for a drive. We're going to go for a spin. Hopefully the roads will be clear and you'll get a sense of perhaps what the car sounds like at 4,000 or 5,000 revs. It's not a high revving car, it's not like a Ferrari. It will rev up to sort of 6,000 or more, 7,000 is the top. But really you're doing a lot of your changing gear around the sort of 3,000 to 4,000. It's got a huge amount of torque as well. You can literally drive this car in almost any gear. So fourth gear it'll pull away at 20 miles an hour. It goes up to fifth gear. Top speed probably, I think this car's 170. The engine's had some work done on it. It's had an X-Pack configuration put onto it by some specialists, RS Williams, who are very well known in the Aston Martin field. And the dyno tests, I think, showed over 400 brake horsepower on this car. I think standard it's around about 320. Brakes are not that great on this car. It's such a heavy car that the technology at the time was probably not adequate to give you really fast stopping power. You can get upgrades now which really improve braking to modern car standards. I've tried to keep the car as original as possible. I just have to make sure I really don't put myself in a position of needing to brake heavily at speed. Very comfortable ride. This road's a little bit bumpy, but generally speaking on A roads and motorways it's very, very nice. And you can really have four people sitting in comfort. You can hear the stereo quite well actually when the windows are rolled up. It's very much a sort of gentleman's touring sports car. Of course, if you don't want to listen to the radio or your music, you've got a V8 pumping out all the tunes you would like to hear. At least that's what I find. The gear stick as well is, or the gear shift is very easy. Clutch is actually quite light, and you can almost allow the hand just to drift into the gear shift positions. Second is a bit difficult when the car is cold, but once it's warmed up, all the gears flow very easily. Always get a good response from people whenever they see the car, which is nice. So here's the interior of the car. You can see it's lovely finished in black leather. You've got a signed Nardi steering wheel there, which is yeah, very nice sort of additional extra. And if we just pan around to the back, well, you can see that the car's even made it to a magazine. So here it is. Large 5.4 litre engine there, Weber carburetors, and you can see that there's a very nice plaque here telling us that Fred Waters built the engine. The 1975 is just the incorporation date for Aston Martin Lagonda, after it had run into insolvency and was restarted by some wealthy businessmen that clubbed together and really sort of allowed the marque to survive. It really was in a difficult financial state, but it's a beautifully restored sort of engine bay. Some of these after a number of years get very oily and you know, don't look anything like as clean. So you can see that this has had a fair amount of mileage on the car. It's 71,000 miles, but the engine's actually been rebuilt several times. It's a very nice sort of dash, and I have to say, I think, you know, the leather interior looks really cool here, the dark sort of black. And for such an old car, it's surprisingly well equipped. We've got air conditioning, we've got electric wind mirrors, we've got electric door locking, electric windows.